And good morning, good morning, good morning to all. Uh, I'm glad to virtually see you, glad to be in your presence. Thankful this morning. Let's go ahead and pray and let the Lord lead. Heavenly Father, thank you so very much for being and remaining who you are and have always been. On this day, God, every word that has fallen to my space, every wisdom, every thought, I relinquish control of it over to you. Do with me and this moment as you see fit. And may all of our lives be changed even further from the inside out at the conclusion. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Again, good morning. I greet you guys this morning in a, it's not somber. What's the word I'm thinking of? Slowed down, intentional space of gratitude, I guess is the best way I can say it. I've decided this morning that, and this is early this morning, that for the duration of this week, and I'm telling you this just in case you may need to do the same, but I've decided, through prayer, that for the duration of this week, that every event, large and small, that I can tune myself in to be conscious of in every moment. I'm going to take a small journal around with me and I'm just going to write grateful thoughts and grateful words for every single event. When I say every single event, meaning when somebody gets on my nerves, I'm going to find and make the time to write down why I'm grateful that they just got on my nerves. Because the fact that somebody just got on my nerves means that I still have nerves. And for that, God, I'm grateful. The fact that somebody can irritate me in any way, shape, or form, and I'm not saying that someone has or will, but this is just an example of my current thinking right now, is the fact that I can possibly be irritated means that I still have the breath of life and the feeling and the emotion to experience that life. I started early this morning just writing down things that I'm grateful for, and I'll just read just a few off to you before I really get into where I believe we're supposed to be this morning. But I wrote down that, God, I'm grateful for heat. When I say heat, meaning it's summertime, it's hot. It's hot outside, and when you go outside and you start perspiring and everything, I wrote down I'm grateful for heat because then I know to appreciate when it's cool. Not only am I grateful for heat, I'm grateful for the sun that provides that heat, knowing that it causes the plants that I love to grow. And with that being said, God, I'm grateful for plant life. See, this may sound very simple to some, but stay with me just for a moment, because my one of my prayers at the end of all of this is that we will begin to appreciate the simple more than we're appreciating the simple. Because the way things are set up, the way things are so sensationalized in this world, the speed of life wants me to so focus on the sensational that I miss the simple. But what I've come to realize, again, as I've already fell into this space several times before, but as you just live, sometimes you fall out of this space, is God dwells in the simple. God dwells in the simple spaces. God is not complex. Love is not a complex thing. Service is not a complex thing. Consciousness is not a complex thing. Trust, joy, all of these things are not complex things. God dwells in the simple places. But we can get so involved in this thing called life that we just begin to move at the speed of life, forgetting to be grateful for that very life and every experience that happens in it. And so the reason why I've decided, and I invite you to join me throughout the rest of this week, if you're willing, get something to write on and take every moment that God puts into your space or allows into your space and just write down why you're grateful for it, in spite of how it makes you feel on the inside. Because even in hurt and pain, there is a reason to be grateful for the fact that you still feel. I wrote down that I'm thankful for smiles and cries. I'm thankful for books. I'm thankful for prayer and the ability to do so. I'm thankful for health. I'm thankful that God even listens to my complaining mouth when he does. I'm thankful for the constant changes that surround me. And the reason why I'm thankful personally, or grateful and thankful for the constant changes that surround me, is because it never allows me to stay in a space of comfort for too long within myself, within my soul. See, because things constantly change, that means I have to be constantly aware of those changes, which means, God, I'm grateful for the ability to be aware of something. See, without slowing down, we will miss every opportunity. Say every opportunity. Without slowing down, we will miss every opportunity, especially the simple ones, or what we would conceive or perceive as simple moments where God is trying to meet us. See, we can be so preoccupied with what we're going through, with the decisions that we have to make, with the bills we have to pay, with the thoughts of others that we invite into our space. We can be so preoccupied with all of these things that we miss the small whispers that God consistently brings into our space. So I invite you, join me this week if you still value growth, if you still value a deeper relationship into your spiritual space, and begin to write a list of gratefulness just for you, just for you. Part of where this came from, maybe about a week and a half, probably up about not quite 2 weeks, but almost about 2 weeks, I believe, ago. A woman that I've never met went into work just like most of us do every day. Her name was Julie. She went to work. And when she went to work, I would assume that just like most of us, she woke up and did her daily routine, whatever that happened to be, and made her plan and her agenda for the day, knowing that she had meetings on and assignments and things to get done. She had deadlines to meet. She had uh, 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 things and bills to take care of. She had life. But on this particular day, when Julie went to work, uh, she was in one of her meetings, and in one of her meetings, they were just about to wrap up what it is that was on the agenda for that day. Towards the end of this particular meeting, This 41-year-old woman had a health emergency, fell down in the middle of all of her colleagues, never to get up again. In her office, surrounded by coworkers, this beautiful soul of a woman, her name got called, and she went home right then and there on the spot. Transition happens when transition's supposed to happen. It will never be convenient for anyone that still has breath. But when it's your turn, it's your turn. The reason why I bring Julie up, again, a woman that I've never met, is because yesterday afternoon, I had the privilege to be in the room with everyone that loved Julie. I had the privilege of being in the room for a very unconventional service, which I could appreciate because there was no eulogy, there was no casket, there were no flowers, because one of her desires at her end of life was, don't send me flowers. If you're going to spend the money on flowers, I'd rather you just donate it to one of the causes I believe in. And in this particular moment in the room with a whole bunch of strangers that I did not know, I was able to observe life unfolding in the instant and the moment. Julie was 41 years old. I was able to observe people twice her age, literally, have an encounter with their own mortality in the moment. And I'm not giving you all this story. I don't want you to think this is going to be some sad thing. It's not a sad thing. It's actually quite beautiful. But today I will honor a woman I've never met, because what she left behind and deposited, even in me, in the moment that I was able to spend, not with her, but with those that had the opportunity to experience her. God spoke in ways that, had I not been in the room, I don't have this for you this morning. So before I get into it, I'm about to bring up this first slide. And in this first slide, these are some of the final words she left behind on earth for us. So bring that up, slide one, and let's see if I can get through this. So this is from Julie Tarrant. It says, let your life unfurl against a new backdrop. I'm going to read it, then I'm going to go back through this. Let your life unfurl against a new backdrop. Maybe one with a little more music and plant life. Let this be a springboard to more good, more giving, and opening and change. Be grateful, say thank you, and accept on behalf of your growing self. Invite others in. Feed the roots. Julie Tarrant. Don't take it down just yet. So I found this to be prophetic in a sense, because if you've been in any, you can take it down real quick. I'm bringing it back. Because if you've been listening to any of the services that we've had over this year, this is a message directly to you free people, or to you people that are becoming free. This is a message directly to all of us free folk. Jill just did a whole series on free people. And all the way through all of that, it's like what these words that you just saw, and I'll bring them back up in a second, but what they said volumes to me was everything in your life is orchestrated by God, even if you don't realize it. Even when you step out of that orchestration in an attempt to change according to your will, your thoughts, your emotions, God's timing is exactly what it's supposed to be. So let me jump into the beauty of what this is. Bring that same slide back up real quick. That first line says this: let your life unfurl against the new backdrop. See, free people. Here's the reality. The backdrop of your life, the backdrop of my life will constantly change. But I have a decision to make, and I have the power and a choice to make on who gets to dictate what that new backdrop is. Julie says, let your life unfurl against the new backdrop, which goes to say, hey, look, you have the choice to decide what the backdrop of your life will look like. Take it down real quick. See, when I see backdrop here, consider the stuff behind me. See, the stuff behind me, this is considered a backdrop. I have the ability for when I get tired, somebody hear me, when I desire change, to take a moment, take the time to take all of this stuff down and replace it with a brand new backdrop that fits where my life, mind, spirit, and soul is right now. See, if I so desired, I can change the environment around me to a more beneficial environment for what it is that I'm experiencing or desire to experience. That is nothing short of the power and the will of God there. But if I'm not attuned to the simple things of life, if I'm not in tune to the simple whispers of God, I will miss the beautiful words of a Julie that says, let your life unfurl against a brand new backdrop. What that also means is that if your current backdrop of emotions is high stress, if your current backdrop of thought is high stress, is chaos, is arguing, is if it's something undesirable. The beautiful words of Julie here, it says that you have been given the ability to change that backdrop. But in order to do so, I have to allow myself to step out of the backdrop that I'm used to, step into the free people backdrop, which has the thoughts and the words and the spirit of peace, the spirit of joy, the spirit of growth, the spirit of understanding, the spirit of leadership from the Holy Spirit. I have to be willing to allow myself to step into a new backdrop. I hope that makes sense to somebody. Bring it back up. Same slide. It says, let your life unfurl against a new backdrop, which means whatever you got left. See, Julie was 41 years old. She had her medical challenges, but you cannot convince me that if she had known that that was going to be her last meeting, that that's where she would have been in that last meeting. Just like many of us, if we know what's to come, we're going to set ourselves up to experience what's to come the way we would rather experience. But the beautiful thing about life transitioning is that you don't know when it's going to happen, which means every moment must matter to you. Which means when I see this and when I say these things, which means will be grateful for every single moment because even you do not know. And it's not something to be afraid of. It's not something to feel uberly down or deeply overly concentrate on. No, it's something that you have to take advantage and say, you know what? Don't let me miss another opportunity to live, God. So, however, my life is unfurling right now, God, perhaps it's time for me to unfurl it against a brand new backdrop. Show me what that looks like. And then Julie goes on to answer some of that. She said, maybe your new backdrop, maybe the unfurling of your life, the rest of your days that you have left, maybe it should be one with a little bit more music, a, a, a little bit more plant life. Take it down. See, this is important. I don't want you to miss it. It's simple, but it's elegant and it's very important. She said, maybe more, a new backdrop, more unfurling of your life with just a little bit more music, with a little bit more plant life. See, I love playing in the dirt, not just because of the fact that plants are beautiful, but you know what plant life causes me to do? It causes me to slow down and appreciate. See, Jill talked about it in one of her messages, and Felicia did some time ago when she was talking about a plant in her house as well. But in order to successfully nurture a plant, whether it's a vegetable or a fruit or just a beautiful flower, in order to successfully nurture it, you have to be paying attention. You have to pay attention to the changing of the leaves. Like Jill talked about in one of her messages, how she noticed that when the flowers started to point down towards the ground, which was screaming out, "Hey, yo, I'm thirsty." But as soon as she gets water and puts it in, they perk up again. She also spoke in that same message that um, when she looked at certain leaves, she didn't know whether she should cut them off or what she should do about it. But she took the time to research it. See, this is what it's going to take to unfurl the new backdrop of your life. See, you have to consider this. The age I am, the age you are, and we're all in different stages of life. The current stage of your life right now is not the stage that you're supposed to be trying to continuously unfold what you were supposed to deal with when you were 20, when you were 15, when you were 30. A time came for us to deal with that. And God's, and if it's something that's holding you back, God still desires to deliver and bring you into a free space from anything that's holding you back. But the reality is that you and I will not be able to completely unfurl or step into a new backdrop with a little bit more music and a little bit more plant life if we do not allow ourselves to step into the space where we overcome what was. Because what was is not currently what is. When I remain focused on what was, I cannot fully experience what is right now. When I am currently too focused on what should be or can be or what I desire it to be, I cannot fully participate in what currently is, which means I miss every opportunity to be grateful because I can't get past what was and I'm currently focused on what should be. Missing the grateful and the beautiful that's happening right now. Bring it back up. Let your life unfurl against a new backdrop. Maybe one with a little more music and plant life. And then let this be a springboard to more good. Let this be a springboard to more giving. Let this be a springboard to opening yourself up to the possibilities of what you do not know. And let this be a springboard to change. See, we talk, keep it up. We talk consistently in this ministry about changing lives from the inside out by leading people into a growing relationship with God. See, change is an active word. Change can, if it is the will of God and he desires to do so, can happen in an instant, but usually, in most cases, change requires my participation. Without my participation, the things that need to be changed will become twice as difficult or not change at all. See, there is a desire in each and every last one of us to do more good, to be more giving, to be open to living, to be open to change. But there is consistently something that keeps coming back into the free people space, trying to remind you or lead you into a new or different type of slavery. Which is why these beautiful words continue on. It says, and so because of all of that, be grateful, y'all. Be grateful. But not only be grateful, say thank you. Don't just be grateful, say thank you. Because gratefulness unexpressed, is it really truly gratefulness? I don't want to jump ahead. I know that's somewhere else. I just had to stop myself. Be grateful, but say thank you. And accept on behalf of your growing self. Take it down real quick. Accept on behalf of your growing self. See, what are you all going to do with this service, with this message, with this teaching once everything is said and done? What's your intention? Do you have one? Do you have a single thought about what it is that you plan to see? And it's okay if you don't, but the question should be in your space so that you can ask yourself the question. It's like, what am I going to do with that word today? What am I going to do with what I've been studying? What am I going to do with the revelation God puts into my space? What are you going to do with this moment? What are we going to do with the beautiful words of Julie? How will it help to change me from the inside out? It won't do anything if I don't participate with it. I have to be a willing participant in my own change. I have to be a willing participant with my growing self, as Julie so eloquently put it. You and I have a growing self, but we can all get so caught up in the habit of paying attention to our stagnant self, which is why we miss grateful moments. When I give my stagnant self, my non-growing self, too much attention, when I give my complaining self, my I wish I had self, too much attention, I neglect my growing self. You and I have a growing self. And that growing self desires to be attached to growing change, to growing, to participating in growing activities. Growing activities that lead me into the space of gratefulness, that leads me to being excited about saying thank you to something. But until I allow myself to accept what my growing self is trying to offer me, see, there is something that is in opposition to your growing self. There is a distraction in your life right now that is in opposition to your growing self, which is why you have the thought of a growing self, you have the desire of the growing, but there's no growing. Because while it is present, I'm not allowing myself to move beyond what does not benefit the growing self because I'm stuck somewhere. I pray this is hitting and making sense to somebody. Bring this slide up one last time. I'm about to finish it up. Be grateful, say thank you, and accept on behalf of your growing self. Accept what? Whatever your growing self is bringing you. And then invite others in. See, this right here, that right there, to me, and I know I'm not alone here, but it spoke volumes as somebody that is quiet. I know when I'm in public in platforms like this, I'm not shy, but I'm quiet. I'm not fearful of speaking in public or in private, but I'm quiet. And if I had a weakness, one of them would be inviting others in. Why? And this would be many of us because, and what I take from this is that Julie says invite others in because you know what? Life is so hard and people are so mean and people have done so many things to jade all of us. If you watch the news, if you listen to the news, if you on social media and you see all the rudeness and the people business being blasted, it makes it an environment that makes you not want to trust anybody. But in order to appreciate fully your growing self, you're going to have to invite others in. Take it down just one last second. You're going to have to invite others in. See, especially in this realm, this screen realm, this platform, where you and I don't get to touch as often as we used to. It's very easy for you to embrace solitude in a way that's unhealthy for you. I'm not saying that your solitude is unhealthy, but what does your growing self and the Holy Spirit say to you? See, there is no one answer in a sermon for any of us. But I do believe that God is speaking to all of us in different ways. But you're going to have to invite others in. You're going to have to in order for your growing self to experience the love that it wants to and should be experiencing in the right now, you're going to have to open yourself up to being hurt again. I'm not saying that you're going to be hurt again. But fear will cause you to not allow anybody else in because you've been hurt again. Because you've been hurt. And until you step out of that space where you will never forget, you'll always remember how you were hurt. But it should not be the driving force on the decisions and the moments that you take in today. Life is too short. There are too many people waiting to experience your light. You have to be willing to go forward in the face of being afraid of possibly being hurt again, but with the grateful spirit that you know what? Because I'm different, those that are allowed to enter into my space will be different also. And even if they are not, guess what? Because I'm different and I have been embracing my growing self, the way I respond to you, the way I react to you, the way I talk to you, the way I lead you, the way I follow you will be in the way of the different person that exists before you right here and right now. You are not your yesterday, nor are you your tomorrow. You are what you choose to be in this exact moment. Is it a grateful spirit? Bring it up. Be grateful. Bring it up one more time. Be grateful, say thank you, and accept on behalf of your growing self. Invite others in. feed the roots. Now, for anybody that's heard me teach this year at all, uh, we did a whole situation on roots, root seekers, roots finders. We went all rooted in. So of course, when I saw these words from Sister Julie, it spoke to me differently. But it was a great reminder that I'm glad she brought not only back into my space, but it gave me an opportunity to bring it back into your space. Feed the roots, y'all. What you talking about, Will? Feed the roots. What you talking about, Julie? Feed the roots. Be grateful, say thank you, and accept on behalf of your growing self. Invite others in. Feed the roots. Take it down. What are you feeding? Are you feeding your growing self? When I read this, when she says feed the roots at the end, I'm saying feed the roots of your growing self. This is me just taking liberty with her words. I'm saying feed the roots of your growing self. Because it is your growing self that is not afraid to invite others in. It is your growing self that is excited about unfurling a new backdrop for you. It is your growing self that wants to experience new music from countries I've never even thought about listening to before. And see, I personally love listening to music from other countries, mainly because I don't understand the words that you're saying. So, whatever you're saying, while I'm listening, they mean whatever I want them to mean in that moment. I don't have to concern myself with certain lyrics, whether they're appropriate or inappropriate, until I look them up to find out. But the likelihood in a lot of the things that I know I listen to, it's just adding a little bit more music to my life because the cultures of others brings into your space something that you don't know that you're missing until you step into that culture. There is nothing more beautiful to me than the voices of African children with just maybe two or three drums and the cadence and the joy in which they speak and say whatever it is they're saying. I don't know what they're saying, but I know the feel and the emotion that arises within me when I hear it. And it's joy. And it's life. And it's a growing self to me. In order to be different, you got to do different. Be grateful, say thank you, and accept on behalf of your growing self. Invite others in. Feed the roots. Feed the roots. See, I had a picture once. I didn't bother putting in this live on one of the messages I did earlier this year, where it had roots in the ground that were feeding on everything that's not useful to you and your growing self. And on the other side, it was feeding everything that was useful to your growing self. And once you were able to see the evidence of that, that side of the tree was full, the other side of the tree was completely dead. I thank Julie for bringing just those three words back, feed the roots, back into my space to remind me so that I can remind you and we can be reminded together that we're supposed to be feeding the roots of your grow self, though. Feed the roots of your free people self. Feed the roots of life. Next slide. So this question. So what will you do with your life source and energy today? See, I can't ask you about yesterday because it's gone. And tomorrow's not promised to any of us. So what will you do with your life source and energy today? What will you allow your growing self? What direction will you allow your growing self to lead you in today? What will you do with your life source and energy today? See, the beautiful thing about this question is I know, especially for me, I don't know the answer. What I'm going to do with my life source and what I'm going to do with my energy today, I have no idea. But you know what? The beautiful thing is I don't have to know. I just have to be willing to ask the question. Because when I ask the question, I bring it into my conscious mind and don't allow it to remain asleep in my subconscious or unconscious. And what I benefit from by bringing it into my conscious mind is that now I'm able to say, you know what? One of the things, now I'm able to make a decision and say, you know what? One of the things that, you know what, I will do with my energy today is I'm going to look for the opportunities to say thank you. I'm going to look and write down every opportunity, good, bad, indifferent, and say, God, even for this, I am grateful. What I'm going to do is allow myself to slow down. I have no idea, just like you do not know what is going to happen today. But with whatever does happen today, what I do with my life source and my energy today matters. So whether I know the answer or not, I've got to ask the question. And then I ask the second question, who or what is it designed to benefit? So, you know, when I get the answer or a direction for an answer, because you don't have to know. See, this goes back into all of those flow motion and flow focus messages and the book Be Water, my friend. See, in order to be water, I have to be conscious of what I allow my life source and energy to be connected to. Because it could be connected to sewage water when it should be connected to the fresh living water of God. Somebody hear me. And part of how I find out which flow is moving is I ask another question, who or what is it designed to benefit? What are we talking about? The source of your energy, your life source, your energy, what you do with it. Who is it benefiting? Take it down. See, I have to ask the question, who is it benefiting? Because the way the world speaks to me on a daily basis, the way the world speaks to you on a daily basis, is telling you and I that everything revolves around your universe, the universe of you. And so I have to know where I'm putting my life source and my life energy. And if it is only benefiting me, am I really living? See, see the questions I'm giving you all. I've asked myself all of these questions already. I'm not giving you my answers because life wants you to think. Your growing self wants you to think and to find out the answers for yourself, for you. And I'm not giving you the answers that I had that God allowed to be revealed in my space because that's for me. And I don't want to taint your space. I just want to open your space up to your growing self, to your free people self, so that you'd at least be willing to ask the question. Just ask the question. So who or what is it designed to benefit? If your life energy and your life source, your light, every day, all day only benefits you, the goals of your energy only benefits you, then I don't know what kind of living we actually doing. Let's go to the next slide. 2, 3. Slide 3. This comes from Ecclesiastes 7, 1 through 6. I'll see how much of this I get through, but it's some of it is a slight review. But as God is a living, as the word is a living word, there's always a new revelation that I'm so grateful for. So I'm saying I'm grateful for the life of Julie, who led us all to this space. Ecclesiastes 7, 1 through 6. It says, a good name is better than fine perfume, and the day of death better than the day of birth. Take it down. What? It says, a good name is better than fine perfume, and the day of death better than the day of birth. Don't miss this revelation, y'all. See, one of the benefits that I got to experience by sitting in the room with Julie's family, friends, and coworkers is that I got to hear the name of the woman. I got to experience through others what her life meant, because again, it was not a conventional service. They chose a few people just to share really a short this or that about her from their perspective. There was no eulogy, there was no sermon, there was no songs in the middle, none of that. It was just, hey, look, this is who I knew this person to be. And this is what she left in my space. By the way she lived her life, what it told me is that whether she knew the words to say or not, she valued her name. And she valued the joy that it brought into other people's space. She valued it. It says a good name is better than fine perfume, and the day of death better than the day of birth. Why is the day of death better than the day of birth? Think about it for a second. Why is the day of death better than the day of birth? First of all, in order to have a death, you must first have a birth. Somebody hear me. Very simple, but God is found in simple places. But in order to appreciate death, you have to first appreciate life. The day of death is better than the day of birth. It's because on the day that somebody dies, you're paying attention. On the day that somebody's born, you're celebrating. And both in their own right are extraordinarily valuable. And both in their own right teach you something that you're unaware of. But see, the day of death allows for, whether it's a group of people, whether it's just those closest to you, on the day of death, we're locked in differently, where I can now learn from the experiences of your life. Where the day of birth, you have no life left. You haven't even begun living yet. You're on day one. See, babies are beautiful. Babies make you smile. Babies bring a different kind of joy. But death is also supposed to bring you a different kind of joy, because the joy that I'm supposed to grab hold to at the moment of death, the joy that I'm supposed to grab hold on to, so don't miss this. The joy we are supposed to grab hold on to at the moment of someone's death is not the fact that they're leaving, it's the life that they lived and left behind. I hope that came out right. See, I never met Julie. I never met her. But in the moment of her death, where many gathered to celebrate her life, my life, my growing self grew a little bit more on that day. Because I was able to hear some things, experience some things, see the tears of others, hear the joy behind the tears. And while there was sadness in the room, it wasn't the type of sadness that people have when they have regrets. See, a lot of times when people pass on or transition into the next phase of life, because death is just the transition into the next living phase. It's just now I'm not living in this shell of a human form. I'm now actually living in the shell of my initial spiritual form. So it's just a transition. And while people said that they would miss the physical form, Because of the deposit that Sister Julie left behind, there were more happy tears than sad ones. Bring the scripture back up. So that's why the day of death is better than the day of birth. Because, see, at the day of birth, I'm thankful to God for life differently than I'm thankful to God for life at the day of death, because death makes me consider my own mortality. Death gets me to check in. Death gets me to ask myself the questions, or start to look within myself and say, am I still operating in my best growing self? A good name is better than fine perfume, and the day of death better than the day of birth. Verse 2, it is better. It is better, which means both are mutually beneficial, but one is better. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting. For death is the destiny for everyone. We talked about that before. We talked about what's my destiny. For death is the destiny of everyone. Everyone that lives, everyone that is born soon or one day must experience death. It's all part of the same journey. For death is the destiny of everyone, and the living, that's us, should take this to heart. Take it down for a second. And the living should take this to heart. Take what to heart, Will? Not the fact that you and I are going to die. That's a reality. Ain't no need to focus on that. Deron said it. Jill said it. And I'm just going to say it one more time. Just bring it back into the space. What matters the most is what we do with the dash in the middle. Birth date, the day I was born, then the day someone passes. Both valuable dates, but aren't the most valuable. What's most valuable is what I do with the time in the middle. The dash in the middle represents the time that I am allowed to be here. How am I rooted? How am I expressing my growing self? Am I expressing my growing self? What am I doing with the dash in the middle today? See, not everybody that watches this broadcast or comes to see us when we do pop-ups live had the fortunate, grateful blessing of being in the same space as a Deron Cloud. They didn't all, not everybody got an opportunity to experience that spirit in the earthly shell. So they can only experience a Deron Cloud the way I got to experience a Julie, through the soul and the spirit of somebody else. What are we doing with the dash in the middle? He taught that message. And it will remain relevant for the rest of our lives. But we have to be reminded nonetheless. What am I doing with the dash in the middle? How am I feeding my growing self? Am I feeding my growing self? It is better to be in the house of mourning than into the house of feasting. Another reason why I can say I'm grateful. Over the last, I guess, what is July now? But for most of this summer, in all of my travels, I'm grateful to God. But in all of my travels, I've just been exposed. Very few of the rooms I have entered on purpose. I've entered the rooms that I had to enter. But outside of the rooms that I had to enter, I did not choose to go into the rooms. Which rooms are we talking about? Well, I'm talking about the rooms of feasting and celebration. I've seen all the parties. See, I've seen all the parties. I've heard all the songs. I've heard all the music. I've seen all the dancing, the celebrating, and there's nothing wrong with it. But it is better. But it is better to be in the house of mourning than in the house of celebrating and feasting. Why? Because you know what? When I was in the houses of celebration and feasting, it was too loud for me to hear my own thoughts. It was too loud for me to check in on the condition fully of my growing self. And because everybody loves to be in the place of feasting and celebrating, it was also war. Because, and I say it was war because there's so many different spirits of people that and spirits that love to celebrate and remain in that space and want you to go further into that space and to enjoy that space with them. So in the middle of feasting and celebration, I have to be solid. I got to be grounded. I have to stay consistent in reminding myself I'm grateful to be here for the reason that you have me here, God. Whatever they may be, I may not understand it all now, but I know you have a purpose behind it. And you don't have to show me the purpose. I'm grateful to be in the room. I'm grateful to be in the room where it happens. But God, this room is loud. And so the blessing, here's why I'm grateful again for Julie, because Julie gave me an opportunity to go to step into the room of mourning, where I can see plainly and clearly both extremes. And this scripture came to life for me personally. And I'm just sharing this with you, prayerfully that it's doing something for you as well. But this is my experience, but I pray that that is also landing somewhere with you and touching your heart and soul. So I'm able to be in both rooms. And I'm able to see, and at the end of it, I'm about to bring it back up, but at the end of it, of this scripture, it puts me back into the space that it says, and all this too is meaningless. Where we get to the space where it's just like, you know what? It's all meaningless. I'm not saying that your life is meaningless, because your life can have meaning if you want it to. But everything outside of the realm of where God is, where your growing self can grow stronger as it is rooted in the good stuff. Everything outside of it is meaningless. Bring the scripture back up. Let me push through and try to finish this up. At least what I'm gonna finish today. So it says a good name is better than fine perfume. What are they saying about your name? And the day of death better than the day of birth. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for death is the destiny for everyone. The living should take this to heart. Frustration is better than laughter. What? See, don't miss these revelations. Frustration is better than laughter. See, when you see these two words, polar opposites. I, just like everybody else, I love a good laugh. I love a good laugh. But see, the reason why I started this, that saying I got to start paying attention and being grateful for even the frustration. Why? Because frustration is better than laughter. Why? Because frustration has something to teach me too. But the reality of human existence and human life is that we fight so hard to avoid frustration as opposed to leaning into why we are frustrated, not realizing that the frustration that's in our space right now has something to teach me. I have just been allowing myself to be trained by the world to avoid everything that does not make me feel good. And if I fight hard to avoid everything that does not make me feel good, then I will never learn and give my growing self what it needs to be better at who I am as a person. So I have to lean into this portion of scripture where it says, frustration, hear me, free person, hear me, free woman, hear me, free man. Your frustration is better than your laughter. That's why even in Proverbs, it says, even in laughter, the heart aches. Because laughter, what it does is that it covers up at times the fact that you're supposed to be leaning into what's frustrating you. God is trying to meet you and I in the middle of your frustrated circumstance. But if I fight tooth and nail to avoid being found in frustrating circumstances, I am fighting to avoid God. And so I'm telling you, frustration is better than laughter, because a sad face is good for your heart. You're not going to be happy all the time, baby. And so when you're not happy, when something happens to cause your face to be sad, lean into it. Don't run away from it. Don't resist it. As Jerron used to say, what you resist persists. Lean into what's causing you to be frustrated. If that boss at work is causing you to be frustrated, lean into that frustration. Because there's something for your growing self to learn. There's some freedom for you inside of that frustration. That sad face that wants to show up, it's good for your heart. Not the heart that's pumping blood through your body, but your spiritual heart that gives life to your soul. But the sad faces are not found at the party. Frustration is rarely found at the party. See, many of us are looking to make it in whatever it is that we're trying to make it at, because we're looking forward to the party. Not realizing that the party is about celebrating, and we should celebrate here and there. But you know what doesn't happen at the party? I don't grow that much at the party. I can't grow that much at the party because I'm just too busy at the party. Frustration is better than laughter, because a sad face is good for the heart. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of pleasure. Take it down real quick. Something just hit me on this one. It says the heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of pleasure. Watch this. The house of mourning slows my mind down. The house of mourning causes me to be more present than I usually am in other places. The house of mourning slows down my thinking process. The house of mourning slows down my hearing. Now I'm paying attention. The house of mourning slows down the way I'm. See, we have all been trained to move at the speed of life, which in today can be called, we have been trained to move at the speed of information. And the speed of information changes so fast and so often that we will never be able to keep up, which means we are always running in a sprint, out of breath, never stopping, and moving so fast that we can't see what we've missed as we flew by it. See, the speed of information is the new speed of life. And I will go on to say that the speed of information is also the new party. Social media is the new party. See, the house of mourning that causes me to slow down. And if I were to dare to pay attention, let me put this in your space. If I were to dare pay attention and say, you know what slows me down physically, God? Picking up an actual book and reading that book. Not just a book for entertainment, but a book that feeds my growing self. Like we just finished Be Like Water, my friend. We're not just reading books and grabbing books and bringing them into your space just for the sake of you reading books and grabbing books. No, the reality is that it's supposed to feed your growing self. Not only is it supposed to feed your growing self, it's supposed to slow you down enough where you're paying attention to the information in the book at a slow pace, a much slower pace than the information that is of abundance from technology. See, technology has you. If you ever ran a marathon, let's say you're running a marathon, you don't start your marathon running at a full sprint because after about 100 meters of going as fast as you can, you're going to break down, and there's still so much left to run. There's still so much left to run. But that's what technology is doing for us. We're moving at the speed of technology information, which I'm calling the new party. That's the new celebration. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchats, whatever else, Twitch, whatever else, whatever your platform of choice is. See, distractions, television, scrolling, and all of that, it releases within my body, within my mind, the same endorphins that get released when I'm having fun at a celebration somewhere. Don't believe me? Look it up why it says that technology is the new cocaine. It's the new crack. It's easier for somebody to get off of crack right now than it is to get off of technology because of the addiction level. Which means there's been something opened up in our minds that allows us to remain in this celebratory space, even if I'm not having. You ever been at a party where you're no longer having fun, but you just can't leave? Because you didn't drive there and you ain't got no money for an Uber or a cab. And so you got to depend on your funky friend who's still having a great time to finish all their partying before you get to leave at all because you ain't got no car. And so you sit over in the corner pouting, but you still can't focus on nothing because you still at the party. See, that's what social media is. That's what technology has done to us. Technology is the new party. It's the new celebration. And so how do I feed my growing self? I have to be purposeful to step out of it long enough. And this is just me, and I hope, and maybe it'll work for somebody else too. I got to step into a book and actual pages, and I got to open that book. I got to smell the pages. I got to intentionally be able to turn the pages with my hand. It's the only way my brain slows down long enough. Because if technology is the house of celebration, then books can be the house of mourning. Both are beneficial in their own right, but one is better. Bring the same slide back up. I hope that makes sense. Same slide. I'm gonna wrap this one up after this slide. I'm not gonna be able to go through the rest of it. Frustration is better than laughter because a sad face is good for the heart. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning. Are you wise? Whoever you are you wise? Do you consider yourself to be wise? If you consider yourself to be wise, the heart of the wise is in the house of mourning. Where's your heart? But the heart of fools is in the house of pleasure. See, verse 5 says, it is better to heed the rebuke of a wise person than to listen to the songs of the fools. What are you listening to? What's going on? What's going in your ears? What's going into your eyes? What are you listening to? Like the crackling of thorns under the pot. So is the laughter of fools. This too is meaningless. Leave it up just for one more second. See, verse 6 back in the days where this was actually written, thorns was a bush that was in abundance. And when you burned the thorns for whatever reason, whether it was to make fire, to keep warm, or make fire to make food, um, the only issue with thorns at this point in time is that they burn real fast and they didn't last long at all. And they make a lot of noise once you set it on fire. That's why verse 6 says it like this: like the cackling of thorns under the pot, so is the laughter of fools. This too is meaningless. Take it down. It's not saying that you shouldn't laugh. It's not saying that you shouldn't enjoy your life. You better enjoy your life. You only got one. But it is saying, be conscious of your enjoyment. Be conscious in it. Be aware of it. Because like the cackling of thorns under a pot, basically, so is the laughter of fools. It won't last long. It doesn't last long. See, we go to comedy shows and we watch comedy movies and stuff like that so that we can escape from the realities that we're actually living in. And there's nothing wrong with an escape every now and again. But what if, just food for thought, but what if I just stop complaining about the reality that I'm living in and I just lean completely and fully into my current reality, no matter what it is? And I decided to be grateful in the middle of that reality. I just wonder, would my experience of my current reality be different? See, when I enter into my reality with a heart of complaint, with a mind of complaint, my reality is a reality based on the foundation and the roots of complaint. But if I enter into my reality with the heart of gratitude, thank you, God, saying thank you for everything that happens in my space, because I realize and understand that even in this, God, there is a way to bring you glory. Make it clear to me so that I don't miss the opportunity to do so. Thank you, God. I just wonder that if I entered into my current right now reality with my growing self mindset, would my life experiences be different? You have to understand that fear has an agenda, and its agenda is to serve itself. Your growing self has an agenda, and its agenda is to feed the growing self of others, not just you. It's to edify life and godliness and peace and love. But I can't see these things when I'm allowing circumstances in life to beat me up the way they're beating me up. You are not as weak as you say you are. No, you ain't called yourself weak out loud. You are not as weak as you say you are in your mind. And you don't have to be as strong as you think you are in your mind. There is a happy medium space right there in the middle that your growing self is trying, that your free self is trying to get you to attain to, because this is where true freedom lies. There are no extremes for the free person. Somebody hear that. There are no extremes for the free woman. There are no extremes for the free man. The free woman and the free man are easily and able to flow right down the middle, understanding that whether the current takes me to the left or to the right, because I understand and believe and know for within my soul that God has been and always will be and is with me right now. It does not matter whether it's up or down. I'm going to be good because he's good. And God remains good, and he will remain good in spite of it all. So I need to allow myself to align with what I say I believe. What will you do with this message today, free person? You say you've been saying you believe something for a long time. Does the evidence of your right now life scream to the top of his lungs, we really believe this? Then lean into your life as it is today. Lean into your frustration as it is today, because your frustration is better than your laughter. They will always be in your space. Maybe not at the same time, but they're going to keep showing up. Stop allowing your emotions to go in and out, allowing your emotions and your soul and spirit and mood to be dictated by all these outside influences all the time. You're more powerful than that. You're better than that. You are more free than that. You just got to believe in the fact that you're free. You don't believe in your own freedom. And until you begin to truly believe in your own freedom, you're enslaving yourself to your own limiting beliefs. Somebody hear me. I'm going to bring this last slide up that's just going to ask some questions, and then I'm going to turn it over. And I do pray that something was said, if not everything, that will allow you and I to step into the fullness of what we got left. I could be gone tomorrow. And you know what? If this is the last message I ever get to speak, because time's up, God calls my name home tomorrow, you know what? I'm going to be okay. People are going to miss me. My girls and wife will be sad, but you know what? I have no regrets, because I know I've given them the time of love that they need. I know that I value my wife the way she deserves to be valued. I value my daughters the way they deserve to be valued. I see them, and I do everything within my power in the spirit of gratefulness to let them know you are loved, you are valued, you are seen, you are heard. You mean everything to me. And if I should be called home today, don't be sad, but for so long. But take the advantages of the words that I leave behind, the life that I live behind. What words will dictate your life? Let me end with this last slide, and this is where I'll close. I'll bring the next one up. The questions. This is where I'm going to leave you all today. The questions. How is gratefulness speaking in your life? How is gratefulness speaking in your life? You may want to take a picture of this slide, because this is going to help somebody, because somebody got another test coming today, and you need to know, how is gratefulness speaking into your life? Can it be heard? How is gratefulness speaking to you today? Can you hear it? Can you hear it over the sound of your own complaints? Can you hear it? Gratefulness is speaking to you. It's calling you. Can it be heard? Note underneath it says, gratefulness unexpressed is not useful. Gratefulness unexpressed is not useful to the giver or the receiver. I'm not talking about flattery, not flattery, which by definition is excessive and insincere praise, given especially to further one's own interest. Take it down real quick. Gratefulness unexpressed is not useful to the giver or the receiver. See, if I don't know, anytime it hits my soul or my spirit or mind, however it shows up, text this person and say, I love you. I don't need a context. I just need that person to know that in this particular moment, I'm thinking about you. You dropped into my spirit, and I love you. You are not forgotten. You are thought of. You are considered in my prayers. And I don't have a conversation for you right now, because I just may be busy, but in this moment, I love you. And it's a genuine, real love. And I'm thankful that you're here. And I'm thankful that you still have grace and life left. to receive this text that says, I love you. Don't miss an opportunity to let somebody in because you mad at somebody. Say, I love you. Say, I love you. Somebody needs it more than you know. Somebody needs it more than you know. Let the Spirit lead you where you're supposed to go, who you're supposed to speak to. I'm not saying that you allow yourself to be abused. I'm not saying you allow yourself to be, but you know what? Guess what? Forgiveness is never for the other person. It's always for you. You can't be grateful with unforgiveness. You can't. Because gratefulness can't be heard over the sound of unforgiveness. Because the moment gratefulness wants to lead you into speaking or blessing somebody in a certain way, especially if it's somebody that's hurt you, or letting somebody in a certain way, especially if they hurt you before, the voice of what they did, or the voice of fear of what they might do, causes that grateful spirit to be shut down. And you don't move when the Spirit says move. And you miss an opportunity to grow. Bring it back up. The questions: how is gratefulness speaking in your life? Can it be heard? Not talking about flattery. Flattery is excessive and insincere praise, given especially to further one's interest. If you one of them people that think you're being grateful to somebody, but you got a hidden agenda and you know it, only you and God know it, be honest with yourself. Let your growing self in. Because I can guarantee you, the wise see right through you. The discerning can see right through you. We know that you just biding your time, waiting for the opportune moments, as the enemy often does, to get something out of the deal for you. Question 2, who do you want to be? Now, understand this. Take it down. Take it down. Yep, take it down real quick. Who do you want to be? Let me tell you where this question came from. This question came from a 12-year-old at that service yesterday. A 12-year-old girl. It was one of Julie's nieces. No, I'm sorry. This one came from her brother. Her brother was going through a period of time in his life where he said he was lacking direction, and he, was making some career moves or whatever, and he had some options on the table. And all of the options seemed pretty good to him at the time. And he asked Julie, what do you think? And Julie listened to all of his reasons and all of his, thoughts and on the process of making the right choice for him. And she just asked him a very simple question. She asked him, who do you want to be? In all of these things that, with all the skills you have, with all the thoughts you have, with all the opportunities at your disposal, the real question at hand is, who do you actually want to be? If you take this job, if you go this direction, who will you be once you go there? Who will you become? See, because if you go over here, in order to assimilate into what's going to call for you to do at this particular place, you're going to have to become somebody different. If you go over here, you're going to become somebody else. But who are you and who do you want to be? I bring that into our space like this. There are so many agendas telling us who we are and who we should be. We got to slow down and ask ourselves, Will, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Cabby, who do you want to be? Deborah, who do you want to be? Jill, who do you want to be? Not what's expected of you to be. So hear this. There's life coming right now. Not what you're expected to be. Not what you think you are. Not what you believe yourself to be up to this point. Today is the day, the only day. Who do you want to be? Are you an angry person? Who do you want to be? Is that who you want to be? You do realize that we have the power of choice. We can choose to not be that, in spite of how hard it is. See, The moment somebody says, I got a choice, the opposition will show up in your space and say, but yeah, that's going to be hard to do. Nothing's done overnight. See, when excuses show up in your space, you got to understand that that is that thing. Let's call it anger. If I want to choose not to be angry, the moment I make that choice, I have to understand that the agenda of anger is to keep its point. The agenda of anger is to keep me on a page and a direction that serves that anger. And so therefore, when I dare to step into the space and ask the question and say, I want to choose not to be this, I must expect anger to show up in opposition of that choice, because if it doesn't show up, it gets to die quietly, and it will not do that for you. That is what spiritual warfare looks like. But free people, hear me here. The choice is still yours, and you have the power to make it. Let anger, lust, victimhood, excuse, let them talk. That don't mean you listen. Let them speak. Lean into it if you got to hear what they got to say. But don't let it get past the space where the Holy Spirit now dwells. You know what? It's like, you know what? I hear you. I'm not going to resist you because I hear you talking. Go ahead and say what you got to say. But you know what? I'm not listening anyway. Use that old teenage mind when you used to be a teenager and your parents ain't saying the things that you want them to be saying. There's a magical power that teenagers have that they can just turn off a certain portion of their hearing and only hear what they want to hear. Tap back into that power. Tap back into that. And when the non-useful shows up in your space, pleading its case on why you should choose to keep me, you can choose not to listen. And even if you hear it, you can choose not to listen. And even if they raise the volume, you can choose not to listen. Whatever it is, your growing self has some work for you to do. Your growing self wants to see a version of you that you're not yet experiencing. Expect the opposition. Look, if you've been paying me $1,000 a day to keep you in a certain state of attitude, and just one day you show up and say, you know what? I think we're going to go in another direction. But you living good off of what's been offered from that $1,000 a day. I got something to say before I walk out this door. You don't just get to fire me. That's what happened in the spirit realm, y'all. That's what's happening in your emotions. You don't have to be bitter. You don't have to be unforgiving. You don't have to be anything that does not serve your growing self. You don't have to be any of it. But you do have to understand that when you make the choice, and you should definitely make the choice, but when you make the choice, they're going to talk. Let them talk. You just don't listen. Bring it back up. What do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Take it out of the physical and bring it into the spiritual. Who do you want to be? Are you a gentle person? Are you a peace-filled person? Are you a free person? Who do you want to be? If you don't want to be free, if you don't want to have peace, if you don't want to be wise, just say that. Be honest. That just says you're not done with the party yet. That's all that means. But life will move on, and opportunities in spirit will move on without you, because time stops for none of us. Number 3, If you were to choose one word to describe yourself and your life's deposit up to this point, what would that word be? Take it down. If you were to choose one word to describe yourself and your life's deposit up to this point, what would that word be? Let me tell you why this. So I almost messed it up, but this came from the 12-year-old. This one came from the 12-year-old. The 12-year-old niece said, my Aunt Julie was a wonderful lady that I don't know what I'm going to do without. She said, if I could choose one word to describe my Aunt Julie, it would be joy. She was the most joyous person that I ever got to experience in my short life. This is from the mouth of a 12-year-old, y'all. That's where this question comes from. She said she knew that her aunt was experiencing health problems. And her brothers and sisters and her partner, every time they went to the hospital to see her when she was experiencing whatever she was experiencing at the time that she was experiencing it, they said, you know what? In spite of the fact that they knew she was in pain, there was a joy that she emitted to everybody that you wanted to feel bad for her a certain way, but she just made you feel so good about the fact that she was enjoying this moment, even in pain, with the people she loved. That's power. That's power. And Julie is no different from you and I. You and I have that exact same power. But Julie decided to exercise the choice to use it. And that's where that question comes from. That little girl said, you know what? That's one of the most joyous people I've ever encountered. And it stuck with me because she wasn't the only one in the room that talked about the joy of Julie. There were countless amounts of people that talked about just the fact that she enjoyed life a certain kind of way. And it didn't matter. So it's like, look, even if she was fussing at you, she couldn't stay there long because she was too busy having the joy of life. Bring it back up. And that's where this question comes from. It says, this is the question from Julie's 12-year-old niece. It was her words. I just put it in question form. So it says, if you were to choose one word to describe yourself and your life's deposit up to this point, what would that word be? Guess what? That word can change. It doesn't have to be the same thing. But I'm bringing it into your space because I want it in your conscious mind, because some of us need it there. Here's the second part of the note that I put there. It says, first, let me read it again. If you were to choose one word to describe yourself and your life's deposit up to this point, what would that word be? And do you like that word? Secondly, do you like the word? See, and I'm saying, because some of us are nice, nasty. Nicety. Some of y'all nicety. And if you see, this is just for you. If you can't be honest with you, you have no intention of holding hands with your growing self. You got to be honest with you. If you are afraid, you got to say, look, if people see you and you're known for being afraid, be honest and say, you know what? I'm afraid. That may not be the word that you choose for yourself, but let me read the rest. It says, do you like the word that you chose? If not, what will you do about it? Here's the next part of it. After you consider this, do you think the word you have chosen is the word others would choose for you? Finally, are you willing to ask that question? Take it down. What word would you use to describe yourself? Do you like the word? If not, what will you do about it? After you consider what you'll do about it, do you think the word you have chosen is the word that others would choose for you? The reason why I put this in there is because while some of us may not admit it, some of us are known to be liars. And while you may pick a different word for yourself, here's the challenge for your growing self. Here's the challenge for your free self. Are you brave enough after you meditate and sit with this for a little while, are you willing to ask the question of somebody else? I have every intention of doing so. I know what words, I'm not telling you my words because I don't want to influence yours. But after you do it, after you considered it for a minute, go ask somebody that you trust. If you were to speak at my funeral or at a service dedicated to my life, what one word would you use to describe me? And then see if that word matches the word you chose for yourself. And if it doesn't, find out why that word was chosen for you. And then search yourself, search your growing self, search your free self, and find out, is it true? Because some of us are liars, y'all. Some of us are just straight up liars. Some of us are delusional. Some of us are so selfish, we don't even see that we affect the world the way that we do. Some of us don't even realize that people have left your space because of you. Because you're dishonest, because your integrity isn't intact, because you talk too much, because you don't listen enough. You got to ask yourself these questions. Not for the sake of being depressed, not for the sake of any of that foolishness, but for the sake of stepping into and holding hands with your growing self. You got to know what roots you're drinking from. You got to know what roots are feeding the plants of life that is you. Because if you don't know, if I don't bring these questions into the conscious space, we're just living at the speed of technology. We're living at the speed of information. And we're missing something. Last question, and I'll turn it over. Bring it back up last time. I pray this has blessed somebody. Last question is, how can I love you today? How can I love you today? See, I don't often ask this question out loud to others, but I do ask the question every once in a while. How can I love you today? See, if you pay attention, if you're somebody that pays attention to the people you say you love and care about, you don't have to ask the question. You just know. I'm not talking about osmosis or whatever. I'm just saying the relationship will let you know. So question 4, how can I love you today? Here's the rest of it. Is the love I'm offering being viewed as love or something else? Meaning the love that I'm offering you today, is the love I'm offering being viewed as love or something else? If the love I believe I am offering is being received as something else, I could actually be offering something else and calling it love. Did you catch that? I'm going to read it one last time. How can I love you today, saints? Free woman, free man, free people. Julie said, let them in. Julie says, feed the root. Julie said, change the background, your backdrop. Julie said, be grateful, be thankful, say thank you. So how can I love you today? This is a question you got to ask. Is the love I'm offering being viewed as love or something else? I pray today that the love that I'm offering you all today is being viewed as love and not being viewed as something else, whatever that something else is. I'm telling you, I'm loving you by giving you the best of who I am, by speaking to you in the best of my study, by allowing myself to be open to the Spirit of God to speak whatever he desires to speak out of my mouth, whether it hurts your feelings or not. I'm loving you as best as I know how today, right now, in this moment. But I still have to ask the question, if the love I believe I'm offering is being received as something else, I could actually be offering something else and calling it love. And God, if that is the case, I pray that you make it plain to me. I thank you and I'm grateful for the life of Julie. I'm grateful that I had an opportunity to experience her spirit in memory. And I'm grateful for this moment that I'm spending with you all today. You can take it down. I'm grateful for the moment that I'm spending with you all today. I do not take you for granted. I do not take your spiritual life for granted. I do not take your growing self for granted. I do not take your willingness and desire to change for granted. And I would pray that you're not taking yourself for granted, but that you are actually hearing God's Holy Spirit reach out. He's trying to grab you from wherever you are and bring you into a better place. I pray this message bless you, and I pray that it reaches you exactly where you are and that your life will be changed and transformed forever from the inside out.